Ladies and gentlemen, we have a doozy today. A question that was submitted by a fanatical sub of the channel. Shout out to Broderick Foster. And he left a massive comment, which he frequently does. And I love reading them, by the way, buddy. So keep doing it. But he left a massive comment on a channel just asking for my opinion on some things. And one of the ones that stuck out to me the most was, would Destiny 3 be the right move for Bungie? And I've got it over here reading it on screen. So we're going to talk about that, answer that question, read over his comment, because this man has really put some thought into these comments. So it's kind of fantastic to see we have other like-minded individuals out there. But before we talk about the answer to that question, I want to address, first of all, that there are fundamental issues in Destiny 2 that cannot be fixed. Okay, and actually, as I sit here and read this, Broderick Foster has answered that, or has said this in his post. So I'll just go ahead and read it. He says, would a Destiny 3 be the right move for Bungie? There's some fundamental things that Destiny 2 can't fix: dedicated servers, sunsetting, game instability, etc. They've gone into details about why some of these can't be fixed before. Dedicated servers, not really something you can add to a game if it wasn't designed around it. That's why Marathon, for example, has it, but Destiny 2 doesn't. Marathon was designed and built with that in mind. Trying to go back and add it into an older game is a huge task, which is true. Sunsetting happened because the game wasn't designed with 7+ years in mind. It was designed with 3 or so. When things got too big, the foundations started having problems. So as long as content is being added, like expansions, there's only so much they can do in terms of bringing those things back without destroying the stability of the game. I'm going to stop right there. He's exactly right. Okay, there are fundamental issues that cannot be addressed. Dado had a video, gosh, a couple weeks ago or something, I think it was, and he basically said, everybody's saying that, oh, it's the engine, blah, 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 can't be changed. Yes, the Tiger engine, which is what Destiny 2 runs on, is an old engine. And Bungie, I think Marathon's also being developed on the Tiger engine too, which I think is a bold choice by Bungie. But I don't really know. I haven't looked too much into Marathon. But that is one of these setbacks for Destiny 2. And you can't just upgrade the engine. Like, that would require an entirely new game, which ties back into the whole idea of Destiny 3 becoming a thing. But we'll get back kind of more into that a little bit later. But Tiger engine is out of date. It's I can't remember. I want to say it was like 2010 or something like that. I don't exactly remember, but even at that, Destiny came out in 2014. So it's almost a decade old at this point, which is why we see, I guess, some of the issues with the actual engine. Now, the servers, same thing, dedicated servers. Destiny 2 has always been peer-to-peer. Adding dedicated servers, like he said, that's a difficult thing to do, okay? Because the servers, they're set up in a way, and the game is essentially built kind of around those. Destiny 2 is a massive action game. Like, you can't play Destiny 2 offline. You can't, you can do stuff solo, but even like in patrols and stuff like that, there are other people in the world with you, and they are all based on peer-to-peer connection. So to add some kind of dedicated server, I think would be very, very difficult for Bungie to do, because of the amount of just constant multiplayer you're having in the game. It's not like, Call of Duty, where like when you're not in a game, or if you're doing the campaign or something like that, you're not doing, you're not in engaging with others. Destiny, you are constantly always online. Like, maybe with the exception that, like, okay, you load into a Grandmaster by yourself, then maybe not as much of a server issue. But Destiny 2 is online. You can't play it offline. So I think that, he's right on that. The game instability, and Bungie, of course, just addressed this yesterday. They're working on some fixes for it. Is it going to be a permanent fix? I don't know. I'm not really super in touch with everything on this. Like, I've done a little bit of research on some of this stuff, but not a whole lot. And then, of course, there's sunsetting. Of course, we can't go back and fix sunsetting. And I think that sunsetting was I don't want to say it was a good idea, but I think at the time Bungie thought that it was a good idea. But there are obvious issues in Destiny 2 that cannot be fixed within Destiny 2. Okay, that's the point of this whole speech that I just gave. Now, in terms of whether or not Destiny 3 is the play, and Broderick goes on here and he talks about it. Let me give it a read here for you real quick. He says, quotes, I think Destiny 2 should hit an endpoint around the end of 2024 and announce it as such, with things like Marathon and Slash or Matter coming out and leaving Destiny 2 to be its own complete thing. Send some devs to the game to bring the old stuff back and maybe integrate the seasons through a tab to experience them. Meanwhile, the team then goes on to upgrade the Tiger engine and design their next Destiny game, call it D3 or just Destiny at that point, and build it with a longer goal in mind, like a game designed to be an MMO/live service for 10 years and not a game designed to last 3 to 4 with a couple of expansions. And when I read this, it is, I mean, I think the simple answer is yes. I think Destiny 3 honestly would be the play for Bungie at this point, if they want to keep Destiny alive, which I think that Destiny, even with Marathon, even with this, Matter, which we don't know anything about Matter other than the name, right? But with Marathon, I don't think Marathon's ever going to be as big as Destiny 2. And I think that as time goes on, Bungie also knows that, and that's what bothers me so much about them putting so many eggs into the Marathon basket is they can't not know that Destiny is their, that is their gold standard child, right? Like they can't not know that. They have to know that Marathon is probably going to do well, at least for a year or so before players start getting bored of, the extraction style shooters, but they're still focusing, they're focusing so hard on Marathon right now that, Destiny 2 is suffering. But anyways, Destiny is still their main IP. And I think Destiny will always be their main IP. Like that's, when you think of Bungie, you used to think of Halo. When you think of Bungie now, it's Destiny. When Marathon comes out, you're not going to think, oh, Bungie, Marathon, wow. Like for maybe a couple months, maybe a year, people might think that, but it's always going to be Destiny. They have a massive player base built into Destiny. They have a massive, amount of players who are veteran, hardcore players like myself and like many of you who are watching this video, where we support that game like no other. We trash talk it, we smack talk it, blah, 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 but we still go back and play it every single day. I do, but of course our trash talk and smack talk is not with the intent to harm. It is criticism, albeit whether it's constructive or not, I don't really know, but it is criticism meant to improve the state of the game. So keep that in mind. But Destiny 3 and moving into, does Bungie need to do a Destiny 3? I think absolutely. I think Destiny 3 literally start from the ground up. Brand new engine. I know that one of the more popular engines nowadays, I think, is the Unreal Engine. If I'm not mistaken, Unreal Engine, it's more, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know, I haven't done research into other engine stuff, but if I'm not mistaken, it's a little bit more up to date. Never mind the engine though. Pick an engine that is modern, it's up to date, it's got a long, 10 plus year lifespan in it, and start building Destiny 2 Destiny 3 or Destiny, whatever we're going to call it, from that engine. Rebrand it, not as Destiny 2, but as Destiny, a journey, something like that. Like rebrand it as something major. You can bring back, then if you start from scratch on the engines, okay? And here's the thing, I think that's Destiny 2, Broderick said in his post here, Destiny 2, hits an endpoint in 2024, right? Then Bungie, keep a small team of developers to, keep working on Destiny 2 just to keep things stable and running, blah, blah, blah. Focus on Marathon, focus on whatever, but have a separate team doing Destiny 3 or Destiny, whatever we're going to call it, on a new and improved engine, and design it with a long lifespan, 10 plus years, exactly like Project said, 10 plus years as an MMO/live service, blah, 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 so that we can have an absolute banger of a game. Because Destiny in the past has been an absolute banger. Destiny 1 initial launch, not so much. The Dark Below came, it was, whatever. House of Wolves, definitely better than Dark Below. And then Taken King hit, and Taken King was absolute mwah. I mean, it was fantastic. Rise of Iron then came along. Rise of Iron wasn't as good as Taken King, but it was still good. Destiny 2 came along and dropped off. We could go through the whole history. I'm not going to go through every single expansion and year and season, blah, blah, blah. But we know that Destiny has had some absolute banging moments in the past, right? And so I think that Bungie leaving Destiny 2 behind, in favor of a Destiny game where we can have, dedicated servers, first of all, dedicated servers, a newer engine, a whole host of new, content and stuff like that would be a very smart move for Bungie. And they have the money to do it. They were just acquired by Sony, $3.6 billion. Like, I don't know if y'all know how much a billion is, but it's an insane amount, right? What is it? What was it? Like 1,000,000 seconds is like 11 days and 1,000,000,000 seconds is 37 years, right? There's a comparison, something like that. But $3.6 billion, like, they have the money to do this, and they have the manpower, I think, or they could hire the manpower to complete this task, to bring us Destiny 3 in a or in a fantastic state, launch with all the old exotics we had, because that was one of the things about Destiny 2. Nobody liked losing exotics. Lord of Wolves, for example. Lord of Wolves, if I'm not mistaken, was not in original Destiny 2, but it was in Destiny 1, bring back all the old exotics, bring back new exotics, bring back all old destinations, tie them back in, increase the size of destinations, add more destinations, more Crucible maps, because we need more Crucible maps, okay? Add lots of new stuff, advertise the game as free to try. They do it now as, oh, it's free to play. It's not free to play, it's free to try. Ascross broke that down in his video, blah, blah, blah. But let players have a little taste of it to entice them to buy into it more, and invest time and effort into it, right? Because obviously not every player is going to be a hardcore veteran like you or me. I'm assuming that you're probably a veteran if you're watching this video, but like you and I, hardcore veterans. But if Bungie gives people a game that functions outstanding, again, think of Destiny 2 back in its early days, right? Or maybe not early days, but Forsaken era. We had perfect server functions. We had a lot of great loot to chase. We had fun adventures to go on. Gambit was fantastic. Gambit hasn't been fantastic in a long time, but Gambit was fantastic. The Crucible was fantastic. Everything was fantastic, right? Bring all that stuff back. Because one of the things that drives, potential new players away is, if they're like, hey, I'm getting into this game Destiny, but there's constant server issues, for example, it's like, what's the point of playing? Like, this game always has server issues. Like, it kind of sucks, because the reality is not everybody is going to watch like YouTube videos and content and stuff about this game. Like, some people are going to see it. They're going to think, hey, that sounds pretty cool. They're going to buy it, play it. If they're being constantly hit with error codes and stuff like that, that's not going to be fun. That's not going to be entertaining to a new player. So it's going to drive them away. Again, Destiny 3 could potentially fix these issues, right? Dedicated servers. Dedicated servers, not that there's never going to be server issues again, but with dedicated servers, things are much smoother, right? The connections in the Crucible, much better, because that's one of the big complaints now is Crucible connections are absolute cheeks. And yes, they are. But bringing in this just a new fresh game from a fresh start, right? Built from the ground up. And I know it's going to be a lot of work. How many times are they going to have to rebuild Monte Carlo, for example, because Monte Carlo was built in Destiny 1. Then Destiny 2 came out and they had to rebuild it in Destiny 2. And if Destiny 3, they're going to have to rebuild it. And I know it's probably tedious to have to rebuild all these in a new engine, blah, blah, blah. But in the long run, it would definitely help Bungie more. Having a storyline that continues after the Light and Darkness saga would be absolutely fantastic. But yeah, I don't know. We could go on for days and days, but I'm gonna end it here. I definitely do think that Destiny 3 would be a good move for Bungie. I think rebranding it as just Destiny, not Destiny 2, not Destiny, 2014 or whatever, just Destiny, like the story or something like that would be a fantastic idea. But of course, I want to hear your thoughts in the comments below. As a veteran player, like, do you think that Destiny 3 is the right move for Bungie or something else? Do you think that's you would do it the same way that Broderick or I kind of have described it here, with giving it a break, starting from the ground up with a new engine and everything? Or do you think Destiny 2 is fine in the state that it's in right now and Bungie just needs to focus a little bit more on Destiny 2? Let me know those thoughts in the comments. Of course, like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe for more daily Destiny content and conversations like this. And I will catch y'all in the next one. Oh yeah, watch the video you see on the end screen because for whatever reason, YouTube thinks you'll like it. I'll see y'all later, guys.